All right, I'm excited to be here. I have beautiful Maria Timparano, and she is coming in live from where are you at?
I am currently in England, in the UK.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah.
Mariah is one of my Amplified Impact clients. We have not spoken about 4 months. She's
Yeah.
been really busy closing up some of her past projects. And when we got on this Zoom call, I was like, just don't share anything with me because I want to take you to our interview, which is where we are now. Tell us, who are you? What is your mission? And where you're at right now since we last spoke.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here with you today. I feel like so much has happened since I last talked to you and we had our last Amplified Impact session. I was a teacher back then, a full-time secondary school teacher, very stressed, very overwhelmed and burnt out. And for a long time, I had wanted to leave the school system. Not because I didn't love teaching, I am still passionate about teaching, but I felt that it wasn't my path anymore. And as I always told people, it was a dream at the time and dreams can change. That's what I kept sharing with people. And people always told me that I was very good at listening and sharing advice and just holding space. And there were many changes in my life over, for the last 10 years or even more. So very strong moments, very hard moments, losing family. So many things started adding up for me to want to change my life. Um, and that led me to become a yoga teacher and a life coach. And I was really excited to kind of take the leap, but it was very scary at the same time, very overwhelmed, I felt. And I felt that there was something missing, that I needed a bit of a little loving push to take that leap. And I can't remember when it was, how long ago, but I came across Amplified Impact. And the more I started reading about it, I felt like you were talking to me.
Hmm.
And I felt that Amplified Impact was going to be that space where I could start putting everything in place. Um, but I feel like I need to backtrack a little bit to give people a bit more context, perhaps. So I'm originally from Argentina and I moved to the UK many years ago, more than 10 years ago, with a dream. Um, and I was very perhaps fixated on certain dreams that I had at the time. And then, of course, life teaches you so much, and things happen to you, and you learn, and you grow, and you evolve. Um, and I guess what I'm trying to say is that I have been many different Marias, if you will, and over the last, let's say, 5 years since the pandemic, with things intensifying for many of us, I started kind of narrowing more and more that dream that I had, that little voice in the back of my head telling me, yes, you love teaching, but is this enough? And that's when I started uncovering the layers. Some of the challenges that I went through was developing anxiety and panic attacks. I had to take time off work from teaching, which was a massive kind of before and after for me. I had always been such a perfectionist and a people pleaser and thinking, what are people going to think of me? And I'm going to let people down. All of that led to, again, doing a yoga teacher training, first and foremost for myself, because I wanted to heal and I needed that space to slow down and to connect with myself. And then the coaching came along. Um, and then again, I felt like, okay, I'm kind of building a different dream and I am aligning more and more with myself, but something was missing to take that step to the next level. So Amplify Impact came along. I deeply resonated with everything you were sharing, your offer. And my intention became to help souls align with themselves first and foremost, get to know themselves again. Because, for example, I felt like I was so lost at one point, and things that were so clear in my mind in the past stopped being like that. So I thought, okay, I want to help people get to that point where they know who they are and they know what they want, and they are not afraid to say, this is no longer serving me, and I can change again and I can start over. And it's been very scary, I'm not going to lie, at points, leaving that the safety, let's say, of the school system, or having that paycheck every month. But I thought, oh no, it excites me to take the leap, to say yes to my dreams. And I went for it. And of course, we can talk in depth about what amplified impact meant in my journey. But I guess that's, if I were to put it very simply, what my intention is: to help souls connect with themselves again, perhaps, or to reconnect with themselves, to gain clarity of who they are, what they want, what their passions are, and to really, really savor life. Because my mom always tells me, be happy. And I feel like many of us are just maybe existing, but not really savoring life. So I guess that's in a nutshell my intention.
Hmm. So much that you said, like, just made goosebumps and landed in my heart. And one of the phrases that you used is, "And dreams can change."
Mm,
You talk about dreams changing. There was this Maria, this past version of you that went for it and became a teacher. And
yeah.
then you arrived in soul realignment. And so why this is your mission now is, I want something new. And when we
Yeah.
go to take a leap, it's scary. And then we go to take another leap and it's scary. And you don't have to do it alone. And when you
Mm,
are realigning to your soul's purpose,
mm,
there's that person as the catalyst, there's that program. And what I hear from you is like, you're going to be the catalyst for someone else who needs to find their soul's calling. And this is a lot of where amplified impact for me came in, is like, how can you teach based on what you experienced? And you didn't even have to tell me that. You were just sharing what you went through, what your mission
mm,
is now. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is you walking someone else through what you just walked yourself through. And I remember
mm,
you being at the end like, I'm getting ready. I'm getting ready to leave this, but I'm not ready yet. And I don't want to rush through it. And I want to just be in these moments. And you really took a pause to make that transition. And you really did show up to amplified impact. Like, I'm going all in on this and I'm not done here just yet. And so,
mm.
can you speak to, how did you know it was time to, one, say goodbye to the teachings, and two, know that you were going to take the leap into amplified impact? And how did you walk yourself through that?
Hmm. Yes. So I just felt that it was time. And I know that it might sound cliche, but I deeply do believe that we are being guided.
Mhm.
And I do believe that we have this internal system, our gut feeling, our soul telling us, talking to us all the time. And also, I am a strong believer that we are guided by the universe or by force, however people want to call it. So, something that had been in the back of my mind for such a long time, this idea of there's more. And that voice kept getting louder and louder and louder, telling me, this is not your environment anymore. Yes, you love teaching. Yes, you love connecting with your students. Yes, it's very rewarding. And yet, you have burnt out and you developed all these symptoms which are negatively impacting your health. So I reached that point where it was undeniable that it was no longer sustainable for me, and that there was more, and that I had a story to share. And coming from perhaps a very big family in Argentina with many brothers, and feeling like I was, well, the only girl, and sometimes I mean, my family is so, so loving and so caring. But sometimes I feel like, oh, I'm the only girl. Sometimes I'm not heard. But something happened. There was a moment. I don't know if, again, if it was my soul telling me, like, no, this is your moment to step up, to be heard, to be seen, and to share your message. And I think one of the, one of the many things that Amplified Impact empower me to do was to share my voice and to take ownership of my story, and to also believe in the power of my story, to not shy away from sharing my message, and be of service, because I think sometimes we let our ego mind get in the way and think, oh, what are people going to say, and there are so many people out there and my message is not powerful, etc., when actually whoever is meant for us will find us, and whoever we're meant to help will we will cross paths as well. So yeah, it was that undeniable moment where I thought, okay, there is more. And one of the biggest things in my life has been that I don't want to live with regrets. I don't want to live my life thinking, oh, what if I had done it? What if I had taken the leap? And let me share very quickly, when I handed in my notice in the headmaster's office, that moment when I walked away from the office, I was elated. There was joy. I knew deep inside, I knew that I had done the right thing, even though I was terrified. I was so, so scared. But I do know that it was a good type of fear, that I was doing something that I had wanted to do for many, many years. And there was no going back, and in a good way. And then, of course, Amplified Impact empowered me to start gaining clarity. Okay, what is the next step, and what do I need to focus on, and what are the pillars, and what is my intention, and what is my soul client, my dream client, who do I want to help? And the more I started connecting with my intention, with my message, with my values, the more everything started becoming clearer in front of me. And of course, I started writing things down and asking questions and showing up, and perhaps asking questions that I thought were silly questions sometimes. But I want to just put this out there, that there are no silly questions. And you were so amazing at empowering me to ask the questions and giving me amazing, very thought provoking answers that I would take away and reflect on and keep writing and just showing up. I think it's so easy to get overwhelmed sometimes when we think, I want to take the leap, but I don't know where to begin. And it might sound cliche again, but it's just taking one step at a time. It really, really is. And that's what I tell my clients, and is breaking things down and, excuse me, not letting all of the monsters that we we imagine kind of make us feel small. Just take one step at a time, with a good intention in your heart, with a clear idea perhaps. And if the idea is not clear, that's okay, because the more steps you take, the more clarity you're going to gain as well.
Oh, I was just hearing you and feeling you in this idea that you were so excited when you put in your notice. And my question as you were saying that was like, is she afraid too? And you're like, and I was afraid. And it was just this idea that, like, when you know what you're supposed to do, you will feel really
Mm,
excited, and there's going to be fear too. And
yes.
taking action, like becoming a mom, has shown me that cliches are cliche for a for this idea that you spoke on, and like the soul guiding us and us being guided. It's like not everyone desires to create a program. Not everyone desires to go online. Not everyone desires to guide others through what they've gone through. And so, if that desire is invoking in you, the messaging of my program is going to speak to you. In the same
Mm,
way that we really worked on Amplified Impact, is like how to create messaging that attracts your soulmate client, so that when they're reading it, it's like they just keep saying, yes, that's me, that's me, that's me.
mm,
And the more clear on your soulmate client that you get, the more people read it and they say, that's
Mm.
me. And what I love is you reflecting back to me is that I got so clear on my sales page for Amplified Impact because I know who I want to work with. And the same thing is happening for you. And it's me mirroring you, you mirroring you, and then your soulmate client mirroring you. And it's this domino effect that I really like to talk about in my
Mm.
brand and my business is like, let's make waves. So it's like
Yeah.
me being a ripple in my own life, giving you the ripple, and then you making waves with that ripple. And you really have touched on like the empowerment of messaging, the clarity, the
Mm.
structure, putting all of your ideas here, putting all of your gifts there. You've really nailed in a lot of like how it helped you take the leap, how the program spoke to you. What would
Mm.
you say in general, like, was your biggest takeaway from Amplified Impact that helped you know that you now have a business structure to pull in dream clients and continue like I say like Amplified Impact is the foundation, the garden bed of a business, and now
Mm.
you get to continue to grow that garden, knowing what ingredients to put where. Like, what would you say the overall outcome of that was for you thus far?
Oh, wow. So many things, to be honest. And I don't know if you remember this, but I waited till the last minute to sign up because the voice of my ego voice was so predominant and there was so much fear. And I am so glad that I took that leap because the takeaways are so many and I keep going back to things and I have a notebook where I was writing everything, every module. And I mean, there are so many, as I said, but one of the key things is number one, being very clear on your story, on your message, on your intention. And that really helped me so much. And I actually started posting, showing up more on Instagram, for example, on Facebook, and being very raw and very vulnerable and sharing things that I thought the aligned client is going to resonate with this. The right soul is going to, like you said, say, oh my goodness, me too. And I think number one for me, that was massive, gaining clarity, being honest. And sometimes we run away from sitting down and reflecting and meditating. And just, I love journaling, for example, and becoming very clear on all of those things. Another thing that I really took away that has helped me so much and is helping me still because I'm creating and I'm in a creative process at the moment and I haven't put many things out there, but I feel like there are so many things happening at the same time, has been becoming very clear on a low ticket, a medium ticket, a higher ticket, thinking, how am I showing up? How am I connecting with my clients? How do I want to serve? And being aware that perhaps some people might not be ready to do coaching one on one with me, for example, on an individual basis, but they might be willing to say yes to click on a free resource, which I'm very proud of, and I will release into the world very soon. Um, and thank you. And then maybe they are ready to take the next step. So that's another massive thing that I hadn't thought about. I just felt overwhelmed by everything. And I feel that Amplify Impact gave me that framework in terms of clarity. How am I showing up? What is my intention? What is my dream client? What are the different types of offers as well? But one of the coming back to the intention and something that I see in how you show up, Amber, is you are so consistent. And that's another thing, a massive takeaway, is just showing up and showing up and showing up, and not feeling like we might be showing up and maybe we haven't attracted new clients, but we are planting seeds. And that's how I see it as well. So I think those have been the biggest, biggest takeaways, apart from the pillars, to gain clarity on what are my main intentions, what are my pillars. And based on those, I can create content and I can reach out to people. I can create ripple effects, which I love that expression. Um, so yeah, and just being not being afraid to talk to people, just showing up, connect. And some people might not be ready just yet, but you never know.
Great, but I remember
Mm,
you joined and you're like, the universe kept giving me signs. And you were
yeah.
something that I talk about in Amplified Impact and in my coaching and in retreats is like people sign up, the last 70% of people sign up the last day of the launch or the last month of the launch if it's a retreat. It's because we're all sitting at the edge of our seats, like, I want this, I want this, I want this. And we just
Yeah.
keep seeing more and more and more signs. And sometimes we get the sign we ask for and we're still afraid. And it's like the moment that like we're ready. And so
Mm,
with that inside of Amplified Impact, we really do talk about just like showing up and serving. And when the client's potential client, the community member is ready, they're going to move at their own pace. And you
mm,
showing up is your devotion to support people in taking that leap when and if they become ready, not because you want a guaranteed, you're doing this anyway, this is your soul's work. And I've really been watching you show up consistently, and just what you share and how you share, it's like I feel something when I read it. And
mm,
that is a really beautiful thing to take away. And I'll just add on to this is that this isn't spending hours online. It's spending a lot of time doing the soul work and asking yourself, like, how did I get here today? What is my message? What is my mission? And just letting your social media be an extension of who you are as a mentor, as a mother, as a friend, as a
mm,
daughter, whatever identities you hold. As Maria said so beautifully in the beginning of this, is that she's had so many different versions of her
mm,
and who she's been. And so as you're doing the soul work, it's like, then you just share something, and it doesn't have to be hours on end because you've done the soul work to know what your pillars are. And if you're like, Amber, what do you mean about pillars? What is Maria talking about? What we're looking at is like, how do you organize
mm,
your gifts, your passions, your skills, your life experience, and the tools that you use to help someone transform based upon the tools that you yourself have used, and then you know what to post without even thinking about it. Because like I promise you, neither of us here today are on our phones all day long, because we have lives to live and we have
mm.
values that we hold true. So if you're like, Amber, I want to do this and I'm afraid I'm going to have to be online all the time, we're both here to assure you that is definitely not the case. um
Oh,
but
and
yeah,
may I just add on that note that while I was leaving my full-time job as a teacher, I was leaving the flat where I had lived for 4 years and moving to a different town to live with my partner, but we're still working on the house. So I keep showing up consistently, and in the background, all of those massive changes in my life have happened. And like you said, I'm not spending hours and hours glued to my screen.
yeah, thank you for
Yeah.
adding that. And you get to live your life. Something I talk about in Amplified Impact is like, can I have a job and start my business? It's like, yes, please,
Mm,
because your nervous system needs to be safe while you get your basic needs met. So if you have an inheritance, if you have a savings account, if you have a husband paying the bills, whatever it be, then of course you can go all in into Amplified Impact. But my intention
yeah.
is like, you can be leaving a job, you can be moving, and you can be working on your business, all
Yeah.
the while prioritizing self-care and your yoga practice and being
Mm,
present with the ones that you love. And I really love that you had paused me to bring that up, is that you were still doing all of these things while starting to show up consistently. And something I'll just preface is, if you haven't been following me a while on my Instagram and you start following me now, you might feel overwhelmed by how much I show up. But I can promise you that Maria does not show up as much as I do. She shows up
mm.
consistently for her because
Yes.
she's building her muscle of consistency, where I've been doing this now
Mm,
since 2012. Look at how you eat, how you move, what you eat, what you do. It
mm,
takes time. And so your level of consistency can be like, I went stagnant for years and I'm going to start showing up once a week. I went stagnant for a while. I'm going to start showing up 3 times a week. Whatever your level of consistency is, that's the space and container that we hold that amplified impact. And I'll just come back to what Maria said about planting the seeds. We're planting
mm,
the seeds and we're watering them. And something that I just told a client inside of Amplified Impact the other day is, I used to be a self love coach. And in 2022, when I became a mom, soul was guiding me because under back the scenes, I was being a business coach and I was like, I'm not actually a business coach, but like I can help people. And so my soul was pulling me to do this and I was scared and I was nervous and I felt like an imposter. And since March of 2022 to now today, while we're sitting here, it's September 2023, my business is exploding. Clients are coming out of
Mm,
nowhere, falling from the sky, but it's not because it was an accident. It's because I've been planting seeds for the last year and a half since my son was born, and now the harvest is coming. And so sometimes people are like, "How soon am I going to get results?" It's like, "Well, are you an apple tree or are you an orange tree or are you a banana tree? Are you an avocado tree?" It's like you have to just trust in planting the seeds and staying
yeah.
devoted to your mission and living out your life. And while you do that, make sure that you have money to pay the bills. And knowing that, what my coach said the other day was so good. You're not going to be pregnant forever. You're not going to be a seed forever. There is going to be a baby. The tree will harvest. You will be
Mm,
successful. It's just being committed to showing up. And most people don't want to show up long enough because we're used to going to get liposuction. We're used to going to
mm,
Wendy's. We're used to going to Amazon. I mean, many of you listening, you probably don't do that, but as a society and culture in the USA, I don't know what it's like in Europe, so to speak, but it's instant now. I want results now. And then you see online marketing and messaging 7 steps to this, 3 steps to get a six pack in 6 weeks, whatever the messaging and marketing is. And we think it's instant gratification and quick fixes. And I don't like to market that way. I'm like, uniquely you, your divine
mm,
timeline, trusting, and really everything that we're doing right now is a devotion to, with the knowing that if I never give up, if I continue to do this, I'm gonna be successful.
mm.
So that's what I
I
really love
love
about
that.
what you brought to this. And I know that's something that we two have chatted about inside of Amplified Impact.
Yeah. I absolutely love that because that is one of the things that you kept reminding us of. And one of my flaws, which I think many of us have, perhaps because of how society is I am a people pleaser, and comparison has been a major red mark, let's say, in my journey. And every day I have to remind myself, or mostly every day, not to compare. Um, but when I embarked on that journey with you in Amplify Impact, it was so beautiful to have that reminder that what you mentioned, consistency, for example, for me, is not the same as consistency for you, and how we show up, and the fact that it has to feel right in our journey, at least in, for example, in each specific point in time, let's say. So I know that we are all going to show up differently and consistently in our own way, but also that idea of actually do show up, do put in the hours and do the work. Um, because unfortunately, I feel like many people might think, oh, I'm just going to show up randomly and then that's it. And we know that it has to come from a place of love and it has to come from a place of passion and service and devotion. And I think if all of those values are aligned, and you keep showing up because you want to help others, like I genuinely want to help people who have been in a similar situation as me, perhaps kind of reconnect to themselves and bring themselves back to center and gain clarity on who they are and how they change and how their dreams have changed, perhaps as well. But if I were to show up thinking, oh, I want this number of clients or this amount of money or this status, it's not about that. And I think Amplify Impact was so powerful in empowering me to gain clarity on what was important. And also, many things that you taught me in terms of all the logistics and the technology that I felt I wasn't very good at, and I'm still learning about. But it was so useful in just how to set a landing page, or what is my lead magnet, for example. What is the offer that is going to hopefully attract the right aligned clients.
Yes. Thank you so much. And for anyone that's like, I'm trying to find what my soul's alignment is and they want to follow you, they want to know where you're hanging out, could you share what's the best way for them to find you? And I will, of course, plug this into the show notes.
Thank you. Yes, of course. So I am on Instagram at breathe be bloom altogether, and on Facebook at Maria Timpanaro Yoga and Coaching.
Mm. Thank you so much for being here. And if you're someone that's wanting to take your life experience, your gifts, your passions, your skills, and create an online offer, now is the perfect time to do that. Literally, the self based learning industry is growing exponentially. It's going to be $1 billion industry over the next 3 years. And it's because, like this, Maria's in England, I'm in Costa Rica, you're wherever you are listening to this. We have the ability to touch and relieve so many lives, and we want connection, and we want to do it with someone that's done it before. And so if you're ready to birth your magic and bring it to the world, you can go to amberhagberg.com/amplified impact and be sure to reach out with any questions that you may have on Instagram. Thank you so much, Maria, for being here. I will plug your notes and talk to you guys on the internet.
Thank you, Amba.
Bye.